Hey guys, I'm back with another video. So today I wanted to make a list of misconceptions that on their own I really can't make a video out of each of them individually, but believe you me, you are going to want to know about these. Now, admittedly, you might not believe me on some of these, so as always I will leave my resources down in the description below. With no further ado, let's start with the first one. Flushable wipes. Despite what the name may have you believe, they're not very flushable, and what I mean by that isn't that they won't go down the toilet, they most definitely will. I mean that they really shouldn't. Think about it this way, a lot of things that you can technically get down in the toilet and flush away, you really shouldn't. Pens, pencils, candy wrappers, basically anything that can fit through the tube you can technically flush. But that doesn't mean you should, because it can cause major problems in the house's plumbing or the plumbing for the entirety of the area of wherever you live. The reason that toilet paper can be flushed is because it's designed to come apart extremely easily whenever it comes in contact with water. I mean, it comes apart almost immediately. Flushable wipes, on the other hand, don't really do that. I mean, by no means is it like titanium strong and impossible to tear. Most of us can tear through them, but they really do not come apart very easily when they get flushed. This in turn causes major plumbing issues. Primarily, that it creates major clogs. This in turn can cost you a lot to get repaired in the house, depending on where the clog is, or even more detrimental is that it can completely mess up the sewage system for an entire area. Things like flushable wipes can cause millions of dollars each year for cities just to clear them out, not to mention the maintenance that it actually takes to clear the stupid things out. So the next time your alphabet soup starts doing vowel movements, maybe stay away from the flushable wipes. Next up is the evil, the mischievous, the deadly MSG. Now, chances are those kinds of words are accompanied by the word MSG, and a lot of people end up thinking that it's some sort of dangerous substance. Yet a lot of people don't even know what MSG stands for, let alone why they think it's so dangerous. Well, MSG actually stands for monosodium glutamate, and generally speaking, it's not dangerous at all. In fact, it's not the worst thing for our bodies. It's actually pretty good in moderate amounts. This thing is actually found naturally occurring in things like tomatoes, and frankly, for a lot of foods, it just makes it taste better. But a lot of people end up depriving themselves of this MSG, which is the key ingredient in one of the lesser known but equally as important taste categories known as umami. They even ended up depriving themselves of foods they may actually really love, like Chinese food, simply because it has this MSG, which unfortunately a lot of them don't even know what that stands for. And this is rather unfortunate because, like I said earlier, this stuff is completely harmless. At best, science has been able to find very little effects negatively on the body, if any at all. And of course, like I said before, all of my resources will be down in the description below. Now, don't get me wrong, if you sit there and guzzle like 5 gallons down your throat of MSG, or you start like directly injecting it into your veins, yeah, it's probably going to do a bit of harm to you, but there are a lot of things that are not only harmless, but in a lot of cases our body actually needs to survive, that where if you increase the quantity by too much, it can actually kill you. For instance, theoretically, you can die from too much oxygen. That is a thing. Now, it's probably not going to happen so long as you're breathing the correct mixture of oxygen, which is pretty much what's on Earth. But technically, yeah, I give you too much oxygen, I could kill you that way. So as long as you're eating a healthy, balanced diet, and side note, I did make a video on diets, you can see it in the description down below, I put it into the screen now. So long as you're doing that, you will be able to eat your Chinese food without fearing that an MSG monster will come and kill you in your sleep. Next up, please, do not pee on a jellyfish sting. That does not work. That is a myth. That is a legend. That is a piece of advice peddled by people who do not know how to treat jellyfish stings. Do not pee on a jellyfish sting. You will end up doing more harm than good. Generally speaking, for minor non-lethal jellyfish stings, your best option is probably something like warm salt water or baking soda. Now, unfortunately, there are more lethal jellyfish stings, in which case please seek medical attention immediately. I really can't tell you which ones are lethal and which ones aren't because I'm not a toxinologist nor am I a marine biologist. Now, if you're unsure how to treat a jellyfish sting, your best option is probably just to go to the nearby lifeguard who should be trained in the different jellyfish stings that can occur there. But I can tell you that he's probably not going to tell you to pee on it. So, the next time your friend gets stung by a jellyfish, don't think you can help him just because you had a 76-ounce slushie. Don't worry, that will be the last toilet joke for this video, I promise. Now the next thing on our list is coffee. For some reason, people think that coffee will stunt the growth of children. Now I'm not totally sure where this came from. I think it's because the adults didn't want to share their coffee. That's my personal theory. Understandably so. They kind of needed to operate for the majority of the day. But in any case, this is one very common wives' tale that I personally hear, and I have not been able to find anything supporting that in the slightest. Now don't get me wrong, you definitely should not start filling up your child's bottle with coffee, especially if you value sleep, but a cup of coffee isn't really going to stunt the child's growth. As long as a child receives a proper healthy diet that provides their body with proper nutrients, they're going to grow up to be as tall as however they're genetically programmed to grow up to be. Now, to quench your thirst for knowledge, we're going to talk about water. Alright, I'll stop it with the cheesy jokes for now, but in all seriousness, have you guys heard that thing where you have to drink like 8 cups of water a day, maybe a liter a day, maybe like every 5 minutes if you're working out? Well, get this, that's actually not what you're supposed to do. Now, if your reaction was anything like mine when I found out about this, you're pretty surprised. And I was somebody who drank a fair amount of water. And there would be some days where I'd drink like a whole liter of water at a time, or at least per day. But as it turns out, that was completely unnecessary. A human body generally has a very keen sense of being able to tell when it needs water, and when it is able to tell, it just makes you thirsty. So long as you drink water whenever you get thirsty, you will be fine. Now, if you recall earlier in the video, I was talking about how too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And this is one of those instances. By drinking way too much water when you're not thirsty can actually cause overhydration, and that comes with its own set of problems. Things like wooziness and headaches, some of which, like I just mentioned, are similar to dehydration. And believe it or not, there have been a few cases where people have died from overhydration. Now, no, it's not as scary as it sounds. It is a rather rare thing to happen. It's not like somebody's gonna drink a glass of water extra and then they're just gonna keel over and die. But it's not the best thing for your body, because you gotta keep in mind that everybody's body is trying to maintain homeostasis. It has to maintain a balance of food, water, temperature, and several other biological terms that I'm sure if a doctor or biologist was here could go on and on and on and on listing. The point being that we're trying to stay in a state of balance. So by introducing way too much of something, even if it's a really good thing, like water, can still have its negative effects. Now, one thing I have to say about just about everything else I've said on this list: if your doctor tells you something otherwise, listen to your doctor, please, because different people's bodies can react abnormally, because we are all built differently. That's just the truth of the matter. So even though these things may work for most people, if your doctor tells you something different because of your specific body, something abnormal, perhaps for some reason something's wrong with your brain, in which case you can't detect how much water you would need to drink, therefore you need to drink when you're not thirsty. Perhaps somebody has some sort of MSG allergy, in which case you definitely should not consume MSG. So point being, even though these truths will probably hold true for most people, Everybody's built differently. So if your doctor tells you to do something different from this video because your body's different from most people in that way, then you should definitely do what your doctor says. Well guys, that is it for this video. If you guys have any other misconceptions you wish to be introduced, who knows, maybe if I can collect enough of them, I might make another video in the future if you guys like this one enough. So go ahead and leave it down in the comment section below. Otherwise, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell button. I post every other Sunday, and until then, hear nothing and listen to all. Bye guys!